I believe in breaking the bonds of gravity. I'm talking about the accumulated clutter of unwelcome thoughts, feelings, and habits in our life and business that generates our own personal gravitational pull, holding each of us down in our own unique way. This video illustrates my most powerful tool, revealing competing commitments. We're all familiar with people who just won't change. They have the skills and smarts to make the change. They genuinely want to change, and yet inexplicably make no progress. What's going on? The problem is that they are unconsciously working towards a hidden competing commitment. Before they can fix the problem, they must first fix themselves. This 7-minute video clip from the Impact podcast shows it in action as applied to fully engaging in relationships.
So, Jonathan, out of these things like, holding oneself accountable or tying these things to our natural rhythms or dealing with the clutter in one's life, what are the hardest things that you have to find that you have to keep repeating yourself to your clients? Hey, this has got to change. Or what is something that people hold on to and it's really hard for them to change?
Yeah, so there's two parts to that question. So as entrepreneurs, we go to EO events and YPO and Birthing of Giants and Gathering of Titans and all these universities. We read all these books and we listen to all these podcasts and we think, if only we could learn one thing that we could apply to our business or apply to our life, it'd be worthwhile. And that's all good as far as it goes. It's impossible to be successful in your life and business if you don't have this kind of technical knowledge. Right. But for most of us, the problem is not in front of us. The problem's between our ears. If you've had a problem, if you've had a challenge that you've been struggling with for years, and everyone around you says, Devin, what's your problem? Like, why don't you just fix it?
Right.
But you're still unable to. Then reading another book or talking to a coach and having them share a best practice with you will not help you solve your problem, because if it was that simple, any smart, capable, hardworking person would have solved it a long time ago.
Right.
So what's going on? The reason why people can't change, even when they know what the right thing to do is, even when they're highly motivated to do it, is because there's something else going on. And it's that whole ant and the elephant again. Yeah. Devin or Nigel, is there a problem? Is there a challenge that you've been working on for years and just it always seems like it's one step forward and two steps back?
Oh yeah.
From a client that I worked with.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah. We've all got things.
So one of the people that I did this work with to help get what he most wants in life is Phil. He's an entrepreneur. He sold his business before he was 50. He's retired. He's a good-looking guy, funny. Phil went through a really messy divorce about 15 years ago, and he is committed to finding a woman who he could deeply connect with. But over this, in the last many years, he's probably been on dates with 200 women.
Wow.
And none of them has made it to a fifth date. So I asked him, what are behaviors that you do? What are things that you do that sabotage this conscious commitment to having a deep emotional connection with someone? And we came up with a big list. And some of the items on the list were, physical attractiveness is his primary criteria. All right, so that eliminates a bunch of people. When he's on a date, he always fixates on what's wrong. And then, or finds something that's wrong, and then, it's probably not going to work out. He'll fantasize about them being together for another 10 years and all the problems that they're going to have. He does all these behaviors that sabotage his success. So then I asked him, someone who does these things, what else might they be committed to? Someone who does these things, what else might they be committed to? And we came up with we brainstormed some ideas, like, well, someone who does this might be committed to this or that. And the one that resonated with him, the one that just as soon as he heard it, he just said, oh my gosh, that's true. I didn't realize I was committed to this. I didn't want to be committed to this, but I'm committed to not being stuck in a relationship. Right. And have it be bad. I'm committed to that. He's these hidden commitments, these subconscious commitments, are self-protective. They don't serve us. They serve the elephant of our subconscious to protect us from pain. So then we did another step and we said, okay, someone who's committed to not being stuck in a relationship and not being able to get out, what's a belief they might have? What's a big assumption they might have about the world that would make that commitment seem entirely reasonable? So again, we brainstormed a few different ideas. So someone who's committed to not being stuck in a relationship, what might they believe? And what we came up with was Phil is committed to not being stuck in a relationship because if he does get in a relationship, it's going to get bad and he's not going to be able to leave. Now, I asked him then, is there any evidence that that substantiates this? Is this belief just absurd? Is it entirely true? Or is it partially true? And he said, well, you know, early on in my marriage, my daughter was 2 and I things were bad and I was stuck and I felt I couldn't leave. Like, all right, Phil, your youngest kid's 17 years old. You know, like what's going to keep you stuck in a relationship?
Yeah.
This is something that used to be true. It's just no longer true anymore. And as soon as a light was shined on that belief, it crumbled. And as soon as the belief crumbled, the competing commitment lost its power. And as soon as the competing commitment lost its power, all those sabotaging behaviors, they effortlessly fell away. And a couple of weeks later, he reached out to an old flame. We had this conversation in October, and they've been together ever since. More than 5 dates. Now, sometimes it's instant like that. You just come up with your belief and you're like, what? Like, yeah, I guess I believe that, but why? It's so stupid.
Yeah.
So what's more common is you believe something and it's partially true. And in that case, we do some safe, low-risk tests. So I'm having trouble thinking of an example off the top of my head, but we would do a test in a way that if it fails, it's not going to be a big deal. And we'll try to find the contours of this belief. Who are the people with whom it is true? What are the situations that it is true? What are the stakes? Like, does it even matter that it's true? And with that usually takes a little bit longer. Was that useful for you? If it was, and you would like some help with this stuff, I run a free Facebook group called Mission Control Fellowship to help entrepreneurs gain clarity around who you are, where you want to go in your life and business, and how to get there. It's for lifelong learners looking to improve your life and business. Might be useful for you. Check it out in the link below, because to boldly go forward, a little help goes a long way.